I'm going to go on right now.
Okay, you are live. Perfect. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Whoever is here, welcome to all of you joining us. It's been a while since I've done the live session. I guess I was waiting for my hair to grow back. Now that it's fully grown, we can start doing these live sessions again. So today, the cost of starting a trucking company. Um, in today's session, we're going to be going over a few things. Number one, the latest freight rates is something that we have to talk about. There's definitely an uptick in our industry. We're going to talk about used prices and the truck prices and what's happening on the used market. And we're also going to talk about the cost associated with opening up your trucking company. So a lot of you guys out there, are either entrepreneurs, you're owner operators, you want to switch careers, or you are a dispatcher or a freight broker and you want to start your own authorities and you want to be able to basically start your own trucking company. So this is a great chance for a lot of you guys. My battery is dying, so I gotta make sure that my laptop is plugged in. Just 1 second. Okay. Now that's plugged in. So this is a great chance for a lot of you guys to ask questions. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask the questions. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If I can't answer them, I'll let you know that I don't know the answer to it. I don't know the answer to everything, but this is our industry and we love, I personally love what it is that I do. So for those of you guys, hello and welcome, and maybe let's get into it. So already the comments are starting to come in. I'll try to read them as much as I can. But in today's session, I really want to talk about the cost associated with opening up a trucking company. There's definitely an influx right now of a lot of people wanting to get into the industry. Why? Because the freight rates have started to go up slowly. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Right now, I'm going to share my screen, and I'll explain to you what I mean by share screen. Perfect. Okay, great. So this is where I usually get a lot of my stats from. I get my stats from the DAT. I go look after the national average for freight rates. Now you can see here that the national average for January right now has spiked significantly. Now January is usually a slower month for the van division. So what I'm starting to see is a trend. You can see here over the last 4 months, we're finally going in the right direction. I'm definitely starting to feel it here at the office. I'm feeling it with the phone calls that I'm getting to the office. And that's what's triggering a lot of, owner operators, a lot of drivers, a lot of, entrepreneurs. It's like, is this the good time? Is this a good time to enter into the market? And how do I do it if I wanted to enter into the market? So right now, the national average for freight rates are $2.20 per mile in the van division. They are $2.45 per mile in the flatbed division, and they're currently at $2.59 per mile on average as a national average for round trip rates in the reefer division. So this is great news for all of us. I mean, we were here. I've seen these rates as low as $1.97, $1.96, $1.95. I mean, it was brutal this time last year. So what's happening is the influx of rates is definitely starting to come up, and therefore owner operators or entrepreneurs, now we can start being profitable again. So what does this mean? So this is another triggering point before I get into the cost associated with opening up a trucking company. I think another triggering point is definitely the used truck market. Okay, so what have I been seeing on the used truck market? I've definitely starting to see a big uptick in requests. So we here at ET Transport, we sell all of our, right now, we have the 18s, 19s, the 20 models. They're all for sale. And this time, I would say 3, 4, 5 months ago, there was nobody to sell used equipment to, no interest at all in used equipment. Right now, when I post a truck that's available for sale, the 18s, the 19s, the 20s, whether it's the Volvos or the Cascadias, they are getting a lot of traction on them. So a lot of phone calls coming in. So that's another great sign, another great indication that things are starting to kind of slowly change into the right direction. Obviously, things can get a lot better, but this is just, a great indication. 4 months of steady increased national average rates. I here at the office can definitely see that there's a lot more phone calls coming into the office. When we're posting trucks in the US, we're getting phone calls. Our outbound trucks are all getting covered with our own customers. And I definitely see that there's a need for people need guidance on opening up their own trucking company, and that's what this session is for. And you guys are more than more than welcome to ask any questions that you have. One thing I'm going to show you guys now, a lot of people ask me, okay, where do I start, Ronan? Where do I start? I really want to dispatch myself. I'm done working with companies. I'm an owner operator. I own my own truck. I want to dispatch myself. I'm a company driver. I want to buy a truck and then I want to start dispatching myself. Well, it is possible for you guys out there. I mean, there's thousands of owner operators out there that dispatch themselves. There are tens of thousands of, most of our industry is made up of, guys that have 1, 2, 3 power units. Okay. So don't get discouraged. If this is what you want, if this is your dream, if this is one of your goals for 2025, then this is what you should be doing. Okay. And there's a lot of free information out there. I did a whole series on how I opened up my trucking company in the US. I basically documented the whole thing, my whole journey. You can find it on the YouTube channel. You can find it on the Facebook channel. You can see, it's a 7 or 8 episode series. And basically, I just showed everybody how I did it, how the challenges that I had, my first 90 days, my first 6 months. I've documented, I've done videos on it, and you guys should, take the time to educate yourself and learn from my mistakes that I've done, so you guys can have a much easier time out there. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys is, for those that are interested, it's where do I start? You definitely want to start with a dispatch course. I don't care if it's our dispatch course or anybody else's dispatch course. Just make sure that you don't spend too much money on that dispatch course. Okay. Why do I say that? Because I truly believe that, that dispatch course is definitely going to show you the ropes. It'll definitely teach you whether this is an industry that you want to get into, that you don't want to get into. I've created, one of the challenges that I've had, opening up my trucking company in the US is I had a hard time with documents and agreements. I didn't know where to get these things from. So I said, you know what, if I'm having this problem, so is everybody else out there having this problem. So why not just, I will create a website with all the documents that I used. I think there's over 100 documents here now. A lot of documents like commercial vehicle sales agreement, damage release forms for drivers, a Canadian owner operator contract, the US broker carrier agreement. And there's so many documents here that I've had to use and I've had to find over the last year. So I said to myself, you know what, if I'm having this issue, so is everybody else. And why not just open up one platform, truckingacademy.us, where you guys can all find your documents. Okay. Now, another thing there is here is your step-by-step guide of opening up a trucking company, both in the US and in Canada. It'll give you all the links. It'll give you all the resources on where you can do your things. But this live session is more for me to tell you guys, what you can experience as the cost associated with opening up your trucking company. So again, before you get into opening up a trucking company, you definitely want to do the truck dispatch training course. Doesn't have to be ours. We offer it for $110. It's basically 10 hours of, there's a whole course outline. It's 10 hours of profitability, your rate per mile calculators, on the documents needed in order to opening up a trucking company, the documents needed in order to move a shipment. It goes into the nitty gritty of it's all video format. We've done it in order to so you guys can take it at your own pace, at your own time. And I don't want you guys spending thousands of dollars on a dispatch course. They're just not worth it. Okay. The dispatch course, once you're done spending that $100, you'll do the course. It'll give you an eye opener. It'll be like, yes, I think I want to proceed with this industry, or a hard no. You know what? It seems way too complicated. It's not for me. Too much, the profitability calculator, you start calculating if you had 1 truck, 2 trucks, 5 trucks, and you're like, you know what, making $2,000-$3,000 on a truck, multiply that by 2 trucks is just not for me, right? So trucking is not easy. I'll definitely tell you, it has its ups and downs. We're definitely affected by the economy. You guys need to think twice before you want to get into this industry. But I've also seen over the years successful entrepreneurs. I've also seen owner operators that are extremely successful dispatching themselves. Guys in the US, what I personally have taught them on how to book loads, regional people that don't want to drive far. They don't want to do long haul anymore. They want to just do short haul. So yes, you can make a great living being a truck driver, being an owner operator, and dispatching yourself. And I have done it. And there are guys out there right now doing it because they have, they're very happy with the course, and they're very happy with the outcome of dispatching themselves and being their own boss. They work at their own pace, at their own time. They, they want to work, they'll find a load. They don't want to work, they're not bound to working 24/7. 11,000 miles every single month is what we expect our long haul truck drivers to do. Some people just want to stay regional, and some people are okay with making, 10, 12, $14,000 a month, and that's enough. They don't need more than that. They are very happy with, being home every second night and having a better quality of life with the family and the kids. Okay, so use this resource, guys. Truckingacademy.us. You definitely have it here. All the documents that you need in order to put together your trucking company. Now, if anybody out there does need a consultation with me, a lot of my day is spent on consulting others, small fleets, larger fleets, medium-sized fleets, and also those individual truck drivers that want, that want to open up their own trucking company. So that's what I do with, consulting. I'm going to stop sharing now. The price associated with there's certain things that you need in order to open up a trucking company. Okay, now you are going to need your LLC, which is your corporation or an LLC. That's going to run you $150. I've done videos on this. Your operating authorities is going to cost you about $300. Your BOC3 is going to cost you approximately $30. Your insurance. Okay, so insurance is definitely, in my series, I talk a lot about insurance and insurance brokers and how you guys have to be careful because there's a lot of bad out there. There's also some good guys out there. I've actually created a form with all the brokers that I've used. It's on truckingacademy.us. If you need that form, it gives you 4 US brokers, and I believe it's 2 Canadian brokers. If you are looking for insurance, I've worked with every single one of these people that I recommend. And if you are looking for good insurance, these are great companies that you should be working with. So back to the insurance, the licensing. Licensing as plates are going to probably cost you around $1,900 US. Your IFTA stickers is going to cost you about $10. Your UCR is going to cost you $41. Your 2290 is going to cost you $120. Your stickers on the side of the trucks are probably going to cost you around $100. You do need a fire extinguisher in your truck. Most trucks do come with it. That's going to cost you $100. Your drug training is going to cost you about $300. I promise you I'll do a total on all this. Your ELDs, be careful. There's a lot of ELD providers, some good ones, some not so good ones. You should be interviewing probably 3 or 4 different companies before you make your decision. But your ELDs are going to cost you about $50 a month, and your supervisor training is going to cost you about $50 a one-time fee, or it's an annual fee. But your total to set this up is going to cost you $5,651. That's how much it's going to cost you in order for you to set up your own trucking company. Now, the insurance, obviously, you can get quotes, but you can only bind them once you are ready. So if anybody has any questions on setting up a trucking company, this is the time to ask in the comments. If you guys have comments on, how to set it up, what to set up, any, are we profitable or not, any questions that you guys have, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm going to go over some of the questions that are currently here. So I'm not going to take any of the foreigners' questions about getting, a job in Canada or in the US. Can you tell us more about getting fuel cards as a new business? Yes. So what I would recommend as a new business, if you are going to get yourself a factoring company, a lot of the factoring companies, they offer fuel cards. We here at ET Transport, we work very closely with we do not ourselves have a factoring company. We don't factor our invoices, but I've recommended a lot of people to eCapital. They're a very, very large factoring company here in Canada and also in the US. Extremely knowledgeable, great people to work with. And most factoring companies, they have fuel cards, okay? And those fuel cards will give you those discounts. Hello to everybody. Can you tell us more about getting fuel cards? I just did. Next question. Love the channel. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. On the road now in North Dakota. Well, hello. I work 5 days, overnights only, bet 1,000. Okay, I don't know what that means, but well, it is really interesting. Okay, I've been following you for a while. Very interesting video and lots of information. Thank you. Not a problem, guys. That's what the channels are for. Everything is free. All the information is free. Just whatever interests you. There's different topics, subtopics on our trucking industry, news in our industry. Unfortunately, bankruptcies in our industries. Let's get into the questions about trucking companies, okay? My brother and I are starting a carrier business this month with 1 truck, and we plan to have 3 trucks by the end of March. We are based in California near the border with Mexico. Okay, so, I loved everything that you said. The one thing that I don't like is where you are, California, a lot of red tape. Very, very hard to be successful in California. Is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. If you and your brother are both doing this together, you definitely have a lot more chances of being successful. I unfortunately have seen, I've done the consultations on guys that have 10, 15, 20 power units, and they're in California, and they've struggled a lot over the years. And this was the breaking point for a lot of companies out there in California. But hey, you know what? Wherever I think that you can be profitable with the right guidance, with the right support. I think you guys, with the right purchase of a truck, for sure, especially in California, make sure you buy that truck, the right truck, and you guys can be successful. Is it worth to start up now or better to wait? So, very important. Starting up now or wait. If you wait, okay, so I've seen this, many cycles of this. If you wait until the rates are going to be 230, 240, 245, you will be the first ones to get wiped off the face of this earth. Your trucking companies will not survive in a downfall economy because you only know how to work when the rates are 240, 250. For those of you that entered the market 3 months ago and 4 months ago, when the rates were about $2, $2.05 per mile, you are going to be successful, long term. Is it good right now at $2.20 per mile? Yes, it is good, but this is, it's not always at 220, meaning you're going to see better days, but you're also going to see worse days. Now, what I like about companies that start up during the bad times is that they are grinders. They know how to survive, and they have the experience. So this way, a shake in the economy doesn't shake them, because they know how to grind the system. So they've been there in the good, in the bad, and for those that started in the bad, it can only get better for them. So do I think it's a good time? I don't know. I mean, I think it is, but I think that the industry, the indicators are definitely showing that, the times are getting better for trucking. I just read an article that the billionaire, what's his name? The one that owns Microsoft, just invested 200 and something million dollars into the trucking industry. I'm sure if I say his name, everybody will know it. Let me just pull up the article on my cell phone. I just read it earlier today. Bill Gates, yes. So Bill Gates invests $373 million in the struggling sector of trucking. So he bought 1 million shares, I believe, both in, let me see this. The investment S&P down. He purchased 1 million shares each in FedEx and PACCAR. Now, Bill Gates definitely knows what he's doing, and the reason why he invested is definitely because the trucking industry has struggled last year, but it is showing signs of a big boost. So the harder the fall, obviously, the bigger the rise, and that is what we are expecting in 2025. And we feel like it's going to be extremely a successful year in 2025. A lot of things are getting shaken up in the U.S., with a new presidency coming in. Also in Canada, we have our prime minister that just declared that he's out. So we're going to have a lot of changes here in Canada also. So with that, I mean, it's definitely, I think with the U.S. new administration is definitely going to boost the economy. They are all about, energy independent and, manufacturing everything in the U.S. So I think trucking does have, is going to have, a big boost. And I feel like, I know my industry, but I'm nowhere near probably the information that Bill Gates knows. And I think there's a reason why he invested so heavily within trucking. So great question. Okay. So is it better to wait or it's never? I don't think it's better to wait, because the more you wait and the higher the freight rates are, the faster you're going to get flushed out when the rates start going down. Okay. Can you aid your authorities by using your own personal vehicle? I haven't heard of that. Maybe it is possible, but I've never heard of it. We have contacts with people working in logistics on the Mexican side, and and they occasionally book carriers or brokers to move their finished products and their destinations in the US. Okay, so I don't have any experience working with Mexico. I'm a specialist in cross-border trade between Canada and the US and US to Canada. And of recent, I've opened up my own terminal in Atlanta, Georgia. The struggles that I went through, US brokers are very different. The US to US market is very, very different. But I don't have any experience with Mexico, so I can't really mention anything about that. I know there is a lot of trade going on with Mexico, obviously in the US, but I really can't comment on it. Since we are a lack of capacity to move all the freight ourselves, should we also consider opening up a brokerage business? I don't recommend opening up a brokerage business because a lot of the brokers will not work with you if they know that you both have a brokerage and if you are a carrier. So the brokers want to stay away from the companies that have a brokerage also because they're afraid of double brokering. I have a hard time finding good drivers. Yes, so welcome to everybody's problem. Good quality drivers are very, very hard to find, but they are out there and they're also looking for good quality work. So good quality drivers are looking for good quality work. They are out there. We have a ton of drivers coming through our pipelines. And good quality drivers. I mean, our thing here is minimum 3 years of experience. So if you have 3 years of experience, you can work at ET Transport. We do also have a waiting list here at ET Transport, so our trucks are all filled up. But finding good quality drivers are hard to find, but you kind of need to make an image and a name for yourself. A good name goes far, really far, and a bad name, travels, I would say, even further. How do I feel about leasing on trucks to bigger companies? So not my thing. I kind of think that, somebody who's very eager and wants to do his own thing is capable. You guys are in the land of opportunity, whether you're in Canada or in the US. The sky's the limit for you guys. Don't limit yourself. Dream big. You want to do that one truck, your own authorities, do it. And then, you want to find a second truck, once you start grinding, you start finding the work, you start doing your connections, the work will come. You can have a second truck, a third truck, a fourth truck. I think that it's possible for anybody that's eager and wants to succeed. One thing that will hold you back is laziness. That's the one quality that will kill you in our industry. If you're not lazy and if you're a hard worker and you're not afraid of hard work, reach for the stars, and you will get there. What do you recommend now to get a used truck or a new one? So this is a very interesting, question, and a really good question, because I truly believe that if you're just starting out in the industry, I would get a 3-4-year-old truck, maybe even most probably a 5-year-old truck. I would stay away from any problematic trucks. Do not go for any problematic trucks. Stay safe. Go for those Cascadias. Go for those, Volvos. Because a truck will definitely put you the bad truck will definitely put you out of business, will definitely, get you into a jam financially. You want to get a truck that is easy to fix. You want to get a truck that can be fixed anywhere. Those Cascadias, there's a reason why almost every fleet out there goes for those Cascadias, because they are, a lot cheaper to fix. The Detroit engines are very reliable, really, really good. Not bashing on any other engines, but I feel like that is the sweet spot, especially for anybody new coming into the industry. So I would go with used, especially it's your first one. I know that the banks, everybody says, don't put a down payment, keep your cash to yourself. I'm not a believer of that. I'm a big believer of paying 50% up front. If you're buying a $50,000 truck and if you're able to pay for it all in cash, that's what you should be doing, because you're going to make a lot of mistakes at the beginning, and not having a payment will definitely give you a competitive advantage over everybody else. So if you have the money, do it. And if you don't have the money, I feel like people are led to believe that financing and having everything, payments and payments and payments is the better way to go. But no, we're just making the banks richer and richer. So if you have the cash, put it up, buy your own truck. Don't owe anybody anything. You'll be able to make your own mistakes. The second truck, if you want to finance, if you want to put 50% down, 50% financing, then do it. But I think that as much as you can, you should be putting as a down payment while still having a little bit of money for the reserves. So What's a good TMS software to use? What do you recommend? I'm not happy with the current TMS that we're using. Therefore, I cannot recommend. I've been interviewing 7 or 8 different companies, different TMS softwares. There's, nothing that caught my eye and said, wow. For smaller fleets, there are some good TMSs, but I don't want to, mention any names over here. Can I move my company LLC from California to Florida? I do have a home in Florida. I truly believe that if you can, I'm not a tax accountant or a lawyer by any means, so I think you should consult somebody on whether or not you can move. If you can move, I would definitely change it from California to Florida. I think there's a lot more red tape in California. In Florida, you don't have that. So I would definitely go there. The labor laws are a lot better in Florida, I think, than they are in California. Wonderful information. Thank you. You're most very welcome. Hey, Ronan, I see you mentioned the U.S. most, but what about the Canadians? So you have to understand that 90% of my channel is Americans. 90% of my audience is Americans. Even though we have about 600,000 followers, most of them are Americans. So I try to gear a lot of my topics on the U.S. market, not so much on the Canadian market. But if you are, if you have any questions on Canada and the U.S., I mean, feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to answer it in this live. But yes, you're right. I do talk a little bit more about the U.S. versus the Canadian because that's where my audience is. Would you advise to open and pursue a trucking company in Canada or in the U.S.? Well, if you're Canadian, I would advise to open it in Canada. If you're an American, you should open it in the U.S. If you have the experience in Canada and want to dabble on the US, I mean, they both have their pluses and minuses. So Canada has its advantages, has a lot of disadvantages, and the US has a lot of advantages, but they also have disadvantages. And when you're comparing a Canadian fleet versus a US fleet, there are pluses and minuses in both. So it all depends what your end goal is. So I need to know more about what that end goal is. Okay. USDOT MC number, IRP. If equipment purchase is in progress, can we set up a trucking company without truck and trailer? You're only going to be able to get so far without a truck and trailer because you need the insurance quote, and that's the only way you're going to get a lot of those licenses. You need an insurance quote, and then you need to bind the insurance, and then you're able to get certain licenses. So I think that it's great that you're doing certain things, but you're going to come to a barrier at the end. And you won't be able to proceed because you need that unit number, you need that truck, you need a truck and trailer, and you need that insurance quote, and then you need to bind the insurance. Is Wyoming a good state to run a trucking company? I have no idea. I'm sorry, but I don't know if Wyoming is a good state. I know which ones are not the greatest states. I don't think you'll have a problem in Wyoming. Can you open your load link? Can you open your load link? So you can, I don't know if the question is for me, can I open my load link? But there are load boards, and these load boards are where you find work. So LoadLink is the Canadian version of the DAT. They're DAT in the US, and LoadLink is in Canada. Could a TMS system be beneficial for one truck fleet? Absolutely, a TMS system is beneficial, and it's very, very cheap when you have one user, one truck fleet. Hi, Ronan. Is it better to use LoadLink here in Canada or find small customers? It depends if it's busy or not busy. I mean, when it's really busy, those load boards are jam-packed, and you'll probably get, you'll find the best loads, best paying loads out there. Usually people that use, the load boards are usually that are stuck. Also, newer brokers use the load boards, but, established brokerages don't go on the load board. They usually have, their 10, 15, 20, 30 carriers that they constantly use, and people prefer to use, I would say, the companies that they've used in the past because it's more, there's less fraud happening there. Bill Gates, okay. Hello, a question. What do you think about 2021 International? Okay, I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not for those trucks. Like I said, I stand behind the Freightliner product. I stand behind the Volvo product, and that's about it. Those are the only two trucks that I stand behind. Help me get a truck. For those of you that are interested in trucks, I mean, we here have the 18s, 19s, and 20s, the Cascadias, the Volvos. If you are interested, shoot me over an email to sponsorship@ettransport.ca. Let me know what it is that you're looking for. I can help you guys out. There are a lot of Americans that are taking advantage of the American dollar. So your dollar goes, really, really far. What do I mean by that? So a 2019 Volvo, for example, is $55,000 Canadian. If I divide that by 1.43, you're talking about $38,000 American. So your US dollars right now go a long way. The US dollar has significantly shot up versus the Canadian dollar. So a lot of Americans are looking to buy their equipment in Canada, especially because the taxes on it is very, very minimal, and you would be able to find a much I would say more bang for your buck here in Canada than you would in the US. I would say that $38,000 truck here in Canada is probably about $48,000 or $45,000 in the US. But do your research and compare. The way you talk about trucking to me, you are the trucking Bill Gates. Yeah, I wish. Hey, I'm from Azerbaijan and I'm going to register a company in Nevada. Is it possible to register virtual and get truck registration? I don't know. I don't have much experience working with foreigners. Do I think it's right that anybody could just open up a trucking company in the U.S.? Probably not. But again, there's a ton of free information online, and I wouldn't know how to register your truck. Is power only okay? So that's a really good question. I do not believe in power only. I hate being at the mercy of other people. So I only like to work with my own trailers, with my own reefers. That's the only way you're going to nail, bigger companies. I don't think it's beneficial for us to be at the mercy of freight brokers or at the mercy of any other company where you're just doing when you're just pulling people's trailers, because when you pull a trailer into Florida, well, good luck trying to coming out of Florida, without a trailer, or anywhere in the U.S. without a trailer. It's very hard. So I do not recommend to anybody the power only system. Hello, awesome channel. Your fleet Freightliner Cascadia is only a bunch of drivers' complaints and saying that they like Volvo better. How are you dealing with that? So, yeah, the European drivers like the Volvos better. The Canadian drivers and most of the, anywhere else in the world, they are just fine with the Cascadias. We find that the Eastern European drivers, they love their Volvos, and that's why we still have Volvos. So I think for every 10 Cascadias, we probably have 2 Volvos in our fleet. At the end of the day, it's a job, and when you have an abundance of drivers, like I talk to a lot of bigger fleet owners in the U.S. and the stuff that they're suffering from, and I truly believe that when you have a good reputation and your safety score is clean, and you take safety as your number one priority, you don't have a problem finding drivers. The drivers will automatically want to come work for you. When you have problems with the safety score, that's where a lot of the with your safety score, that's where you're going to run into the problems with finding good quality drivers. But I know the Eastern Europeans, they love their Volvos, and there's not much you can do about it. Drivers need more home time. Absolutely, I agree with you that drivers need more home time. I have a clean record with all endorsements, looking for a better job. So if I don't know where you are, Virtus, if you're in the US or in Canada, but you're more than welcome to reach out to me, sponsorship at ettransport.ca, or to our recruiting team, recruiting at ettransport.ca. I recently registered an incorporation in Quebec, but don't have a truck yet. But I'm thinking of renting a box truck since I'm on the process of getting a contract with Speedy Transport. What's your thought? Box trucks are not my thing. I'm not a specialist in it. There's definitely a few YouTubers that specialize in that. My thing is all 53-footer Class 1 licenses, cross-border trade, even Canada to Canada, even US to US. Box trucks, just not my thing. I feel like you're limiting yourself with a box truck, and a lot of the box trucks end up being companies for, they end up buying, big rigs. So I don't see, if you're able to do, if you're able to do the bigger trucks, then just stick to the bigger trucks. How many trucks you need for consistent income? That's a very good question. You actually need, if you think they're going to have one truck and, you'll have a driver in it and it's going to be enough for you to, trucking doesn't pay that well. You probably need a fleet of about 4 or 5 run properly with right guidance. And then, I consulted somebody about 6 months ago, or I think it was 7 months ago. And right now he has a fleet of 8 trucks. He built it ground up properly. and it brings joy to my heart to see so many people failing, and I see this guy is a shining star with 8 power units, inbound loads, outbound loads, and he's working like a clock because he had the right guidance. People that are in this industry for 10, 15, 20 years, they can see things that probably somebody new coming into the industry does not. For those of you that are interested in a private consultation with me, you're more than welcome to. I have it in my Trucking Academy website. You guys are able to click the link and schedule a time with me. I'd be more than happy to help any one of you guys build and establish your own trucking company. Okay. So guys, we are running out of time. It's 35. We're 5 minutes over the time. I said it was going to be a 30-minute schedule. Maybe I'm going to just do one more comment before I let it go. Can we buy an LMIA nowadays? So no, I mean, I have no idea where you would buy it. I believe that the Canadian employer would take advantage of you because it's a very bad economic situation. I don't know what you're talking about. Just buy a box truck. Nope. No, not for me. Not for me. Hold on. Volvo is the best. You're right. Canada is much more easy. I look for 23 Cascadia. What do you think? What do I think about a carrier hiring owner-operators versus company drivers? Okay, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret, and it's going to be the last one that I answer. So most trucking companies will have about 60%. Smarter trucking companies will have about 60% company drivers, 40% owner operators, or maybe a 50-50 split, but I like to keep it at 60-40. And the reason why trucking companies do that is because when there is a downfall economy, okay, so usually you would let go of some of those owner operators so you can keep the work for your own trucking, for your own trucks. Okay, so whether you like to hear it or you don't like to hear it, but this is the honest truth: 60-40, 60% assets, 40% owner operators. If there's a downfall economy, those owner operators are the first ones to go. And that's why you see a lot of transition between owner operators, because in a downfall economy, some of them are being let go of. So I think that a really good system would be in the US, especially because it's so easy. You should be opening up your, as an owner operator, you can open up your own authorities. You can dispatch yourself as long as you're taught properly. And again, truckingacademy.us, you can take your best $110 you'll ever spend in your life. Really give you an eye opening on rates per mile, about on break-even points, how to calculate a break-even point, aerodynamic trucks versus not aerodynamic trucks. Basically, everything that is in my head, that I've put together into 10 hours of compact, course for you guys out there to teach you guys how to book loads and to be independent. So we'll end it at that. Thank you very much for all of you that have joined. I haven't done this in a while, and I think I'm going to be continuing, especially with there's more and more requests right now for opening up your own trucking company. So I will do a few more lives on this. If you guys have questions, want to ask me personally, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available. So thank you guys for joining the live session, and I'll catch you in my next one.